We really don't do that much on statistics here. We mostly do stories, and that's because, well, there's a lot of statistics floating around, and the statistics are so overwhelming. I mean, the rate of black on white violence is 50 times greater than the rate of white on black violence. And also, the statistics also depend a large part on, where you are. It kind of reminds me of the swimmer who died in a swimming pool. He drowned in a swimming pool with an average depth of 4 inches. So the rate of black on white murder is higher in some places, lower than others. But it seems to be getting nastier and nastier and nastier. And the denial is growing and growing and growing as one college after another every day churns out another study showing that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything, especially why cops are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever and totally ignoring the real victims, the real tragedy, the real crime, the real murders. Here are just 3 more in the news over the last couple of days.
A man accused of a murder in Tallahassee this weekend goes before a judge for the first time. The suspect, 30-year-old Leon Woodbury, was denied bond and assigned a public defender in court this morning. Police found 24-year-old Shannon Gordon's body in a wooded area Saturday near the intersection of Pecan and Willie Vaugh's Road. That's near the Savannah Crossing apartments. Police say there was a trail of blood from the apartments to the woods. Neighbors that knew Woodbury say they saw him with a bloody rag on Saturday morning.
Now he's did this horrific crime and everything points up to him, and it's just crazy. And the thing of it is like we know him, and this young lady's life is taken, and it's not fair.
Officers say Gordon had cuts to her throat and neck and what appeared to be defensive type wounds on her hand.
Okay, here's what really happened, and it's all in the affidavit. This black guy was texting back and forth using a classified ad service called Backpages, looking for an escort. This young lady came out to his house. He killed her, he stabbed her, he dragged her across the street. Then he started going to friends and family. They noticed he was in a panic. They noticed something was up. He asked his brother-in-law to give him an alibi. Next thing you know, they find the body. They see the drag marks leading across the street. Next thing you know, he's arrested. Everybody comes clean right away. The sister, the brother-in-law, everybody else. Turns out he had just been released from prison a few months ago, where he'd been, and his criminal record includes lots of really nasty and violent things. Yet he's back out on the street killing this prostitute. Here's another story of black and white murder recently in the news. This black guy spent a lot of time in prison, most recently for killing his 8-year-old stepdaughter. So he's back on the streets, meets this woman. I think it might have been at some kind of rehab center. She was hooked on prescription drugs. They started a relationship. He had a relationship with several women, all based on supplying them with drugs. At some point, she ends up dead. And now everybody's telling their sad story.
In the investigation surrounding a female body found behind Runnings in Bismarck, 33-year-old Morris Jerome Brickle Hicks has been charged with the murders of Misty Kofelt and is being held on a $1 million bond. The state's attorney recommended no bond based on troubling facts found in the investigation. But one person who says he knew Hicks thought of him as nonviolent and is shocked by the charge. Sharon Berlinger has more.
Monica, I spent part of the day speaking with Evan Hunt, who says he's known Hicks for several years. He says when he saw Hicks was tied to the crime on Facebook, he couldn't believe the charge. Evan Hunt says he read the name charged with Misty Kofeld's death and didn't think it was his guy.
I can't think of any scenario where he would do that.
Hunt says he met Morris Jerome Brickle Hicks through a friend, and when he needed a place to stay, he offered his basement. He says there were never any issues, and if Hicks did the act, it's definitely out of character.
It wasn't natural, so it's definitely bad. And praying for you guys, and I hope you guys get closure somehow.
Today, Hicks had his first court appearance where the judge said he faced a sentence of life without parole. After listening to the state's attorney list findings in the investigation, the judge ordered Hicks be held on a $1 million bond.
His criminal history isn't all that significant compared with what he's being charged with, but based on the fact that he was trying to flee the area, and again, the risk involved in this case to somebody who was not connected to him, we're requesting no bond.
The state said Hicks trying to leave the state along with not knowing Kofelt made them suggest Hicks have no bond. They added that the crime was of a violent nature.
I watched this video several times before I figured out what was going on. And the only reason I figured that out is because I went back and read the newspaper story that accompanied it. See if you can figure it out. I think police are looking at more than one camera, but here's what happened. These guys cruised in. He said, let us into the safe. They didn't have combination to the safe. Employees in these convenience stores never do. So I think the guy in that white sweater, I think it was him, he killed the 37-year-old white guy working